Okay. All right, it should be recording now. Wonderful. All right, well, let's get started, folks. Good afternoon, good evening, good day, however you are. Sorry, I'm just getting all of our little boxes set up so I can see. All right. So yeah, hello. Here, let me scoot this over a little bit so we can see it better. All right, that should be good. Yeah, yeah, we can see everything now. Okay. Well, good evening. Hello, everyone. This is an exciting time of year. We're off to the races. We're in, gosh, week 6 now. I can't believe it. This is a picture from 2 weeks ago from our chamber choir retreat. There was a bunch more pictures, but this was a funny picture with me. A couple of our sopranos and altos, tenor in there, our accompanist, Mr. Ronan, right there. So great times were had. But let's get right into it. So, semester 1, just a reminder of where we're at. San Dimas has their Angels baseball game this Friday. We're going to talk about that. The second tour payment for Bel Canto, Chamber Choir, as well as Choraleers is due October 7th. Our fall concert is October 11th. San Dimas Homecoming is on the 14th. Cal State Fullerton has their Tenor Bass Festival on the 15th. That's also the day of the homecoming dance. Lone Hill has their Huntington Middle School Festival. It's just around the corner in San Marino. We have our third tour payment due in November 4th. Chamber has the San Dimas tree lighting, usually the weekend of December 3rd. And then we have our winter concert on the 9th. So a bunch of important dates. As always, don't worry, I will be posting this presentation as well as the video later, so you can review this at your leisure. So let's talk about the Angels game first for San Dimas folks. We have our Angels game. Hopefully you already bought your tickets. The kids have been rehearsing. It's going to be a really cool time. We leave the school. What happened? We leave the school immediately after school at 3:30. All the kids pile their backpacks into the choir room so that we can head out. And we head down to Angel Stadium. We enter on the Douglas Avenue or whatever entrance. We have to get there early because we have to rehearse at 4:30. And just I need to have time to make sure that in case the bus gets a flat tire or whatever, who knows what the traffic's like on the 57. It's usually pretty good that time of day going that direction, but better safe than sorry. We get there. All of our tickets are in the 512 section. And I've been distributing them in chunks as much as I can to your students for you and your family so they can hang out. However, once we get there, if your student wants to swap seats with somebody else, that's fine. We just have to make sure they have their butt in the seat before they swap. That way we make sure that all people have their seats and then they can start moving if they want to. For those of you attending, the singers are performing at 6:15 and the game starts at 6:30. Again, traffic on the 57 is kind of crazy lately because of the construction. So I recommend leaving a lot of padding on your time because, my goodness, it is awful right now. I've been driving. I'm right now at Fullerton, and so I've been driving down to Fullerton every day, and man, it stinks. So make sure you get there with plenty of time. 6:15. We will be leaving the game no later than 9:30. I know that I said in a previous email that it was an indeterminate amount of time. However, their last 2 games went until 10:30 at night, and so I need to get you guys home. So we're going to leave at 9:30. That way the students can get back to San Dimas by 10. So that's that. Also note that Angel Stadium is a cashless stadium and has strict rules on bags. I've been telling the students that really all that they can take with them is their cell phones and their wallets, and perhaps like if it's personal feminine products, because the problem is that they are very strict about what they allow on the field, and they don't really have a safe spot for the students to keep their stuff other than like a sweater. The heat wave is supposed to break tomorrow, and so I'm recommending students bring a sweater if they need it, unless if they're a hot-blooded person. I don't know. I run hot, so I don't think I'm going to bring a sweater, but always good to have one just in case. As for cash, with it being cashless, if your student is doesn't have a debit card or an Apple Pay or anything like that, I just recommend that they find a friend who does and just pay their friend some cash, and they can pile in together onto a card transaction. I recommend, if your student is going to be continuing in the program, maybe looking into getting them a debit card or a preloaded Visa card, mostly because the way of the world is moving more towards these cashless systems. And so you can go to CVS, pick up one of those Visa gift cards, and preload it with money, or get a debit card, preload it with money. You don't need to give your kid a credit card. I'm not advocating for that, but just having some sort of plastic that they can use, just because, again, that's kind of the way the world's going with that, and that's the Angels game. So again, as I go through the meeting, drop your questions in the chat, and I'll circle around to whatever you guys have. Concert day. We're almost at our concert, October 11th. Tickets are on sale now at bonitacenterforthearts.com. Tickets are $7 pre-sale, and they bump up to $10 the day of. You get to reserve your seats with our new system, and so I encourage you to go to bonitacenterforthearts.com to purchase your tickets. You should have received an email, but I'll send another one out just in case. So yeah, we're having... Ooh, weird. Sorry, my Siri was listening to me. Rude. On the 11th, our middle schoolers are going to be meeting in the BCA. We have a rehearsal. And for that event, I will need some volunteers. I'll circle back to that in a minute. All students have to arrive backstage 1 hour before the show starts. Lone Hill performs at 6 p.m., which means they need to arrive by 5 p.m. San Dimas performs at 7:30. That means they need to be backstage by 6:30. All of this, again, they need to have their concert attire on, ready to go, ready to sing at an hour before. Not rolling in at 6:55, or 5:55 for the middle school concert. We need them there an hour early to get them seated, to get them warmed up, to get them focused on what we're doing, and to just make sure that we have everybody. So I have to have them there an hour early. Same thing with San Dimas. We have section leaders checking them in. We have people, getting everyone lined up and ready to go. That way we can get the two concerts out of the way and going. So the next thing that I need volunteers. These are people who just check in at the Lone Hill front desk and then come backstage with us. I saw some people who responded to our beginning of your survey. I'll be emailing them. And if you are interested, I will also keep you on the list. So I see Heidi Azevedo. I'm going to write you down on my list right here. And let me get that plugged in. I'm low on battery. It's a long day. Long day. All right, let's get... All right. All right, hold on. What are we doing? Parent meeting. What's the day today? September 28th. Perfect. All right, Heidi, you're set. Heidi Azevedo. And I'm going to get some more people. Yes, Danelle. So thank you, Danelle, for stating that. I have been working through the emails. I haven't emailed people back yet, mostly because we haven't gotten to that point yet. Sorry, this is for concert day. This is for volunteering to help during the concert day, so from 1:30 until 3:30. So this is the day of the event. I just need you from 1:30 until 3:30. Just from 1:30 until 3:30. All right. And then, yeah. So this is just from the 1:30 until 3:30. There is another time during the concert where we have the kids sit up in the balcony and then they walk down. Usually we have like one parent who kind of like hangs out during the dress rehearsal and says they can do it. If you're somebody who would like to volunteer for that, that one, we try to have like a treble choir parent lead chorallaires. That way they can watch their kids. So like we have, treble choir and chorallaires. So the 6th graders and the 7th and 8th graders. And we take a 7th and 8th grade parent and have them watch the 6th graders just Pied Piper walk them down backstage, and then vice versa. We have a sixth grade parent walk the seventh and eighth graders down. So we can talk about that the day of the event. I usually pick that kind of the day of because people are like, oh yeah, I know how it works, because usually if you've been there during the rehearsal, you understand kind of what to do, where they're supposed to walk, because we put them in their spots. So if you're one of those people, we'll deal with that on the day of. Otherwise, it's not so bad. Okay. Moving on from the concert, the wardrobe. Seventh and eighth graders have received, for the most part, their dresses, and seventh grade, eighth grade boys should be buying their suits or dresses or whatever they're wearing, their tie option. Sixth graders are going to have an assignment coming up next week where they need to take a picture of themselves in their concert clothes to show like basically what they're going to be dressed in. This is just a kind of beginning of the year, something that I do to make sure that they know what they can wear. So again, just reviewing what works for treble choir. There's the dress or the tie option. They wear a black or a white dress, skirts below the knee, black closed-toed shoes. It can be a simple pattern. It shouldn't be too busy. And black closed-toed shoes, not big heels. They can be short 2-inch heels, but not crazy like stilettos or something. For the tie option, black dress slacks, black dress shoes, white collared shirt with a long sleeve, so a white long sleeve dress shirt. Corollaires, the 7th and 8th graders will be given a black tie. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it for them. Corollaires I have pretty much everyone's gotten their dress. I saw a couple people who were chatting with me before the meeting started that they needed to get their dress for their singer. But other than that, we should be fine. So we're all good to go. San Dimas parents, if your student is in chorale or bel canto or chamber, same thing. We need to have their suit option or their dress option. Tenors and basses need to be getting their suits. So it's just a same thing. White collar dress shirt, black slacks, black dress shoes, and a black sports coat. I provide a black tie for them or a blue tie. Depends on what group they're in, but I give them the tie. And then the sopranos and altos or whoever's doing the dress option, I get them their dress. And we've already done the order. We have pretty much everyone fitted. There are 2 people who are still waiting to have their size 0 and size 2 shipped because it's apparently out of stock. But it's on its way. So there's that. All right. So concert stuff, just quick review. Concert day schedule. Concert is October 11th. Middle schoolers perform at 6. San Dimas performs at 7:30. All students have to arrive backstage an hour before the concert starts. I need volunteers to help with the middle school rehearsal from 1:30 until 3:30. And I already heard from a couple people who are going to do that, and I will be messaging you as we get closer. All right. Moving on. Homecoming is already here. San Dimas Choir has their homecoming. And I need a cool car. We have a parade that goes through downtown San Dimas. I don't know if you've seen the parade, but we have students either sit in the back of a big old truck or on a if you have a trailer, that's great. If you have a trailer, if you have a nice convertible or a cute car somewhere, and we just kind of have the kids walk around it. We've done all kinds. One year we had just the big nice F-150. Another year we had a Corvette. One year we had my janky little truck. So we take all kinds. So if you have a cool car that you want to share with San Dimas, you get to drive it, by the way. I will not drive it, so no worries there. But if you're somebody who has a cool car that you wouldn't mind showcasing, shoot me an email. j.pugh@bonita.k12. I'll just drop that in the chat again in case anyone doesn't have it. .ca.us. So if you have a cool car, shoot me a message. We meet at City Hall, San Dimas City Hall at 2:30. The parade starts at about 3:30, 3:15, 3:30, and it's real quick. It's just like, I think we go from Iglesia down Bonita, like 3-4 blocks, and then we just loop back around. It's pretty quick. So we're usually done by 4. That night, chamber choir will be performing before the football game, national anthem, and the alma mater. So should be good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Moving on. Yes, Van and Ben raise their hand.
Hey, Mr. Pugh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, so the 14th is a Friday, right?
Yes.
So you want us to have the kids at City Hall at 2:30 on Friday?
Yes.
Okay, but school doesn't get out until 3:30?
It's a minimum day that day.
Ah, okay, gotcha. Okay,
It's a minimum day for homecoming. Good catch, though.
thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so it's a minimum day that day. And so, yeah, the kiddos are out early. Perfect. All right, moving on. Again, raise your hand at any point. That was a really perfect thing. So volunteers. So for the middle school, I have received a couple people who have asked to be volunteers for the 7th and 8th grade tour. I'm going to be emailing you back this week, later this week, Thursday and Friday. And we'll be moving ahead with getting you volunteer certified. We only need about 4 chaperones, including myself. So we don't need too many chaperones. So I'll be contacting people here soon. And yeah, we're trying to keep our numbers solid. I'll talk more about the tour here in just a little bit. But volunteers, getting as many of you as possible volunteer certified is always a blessing. Always a blessing. So volunteer is someone who basically goes on school trips. If you just come for the day for example, the concert, if you're just coming and observing the dress rehearsal, you don't have to go through all of these things. This is for people who go on overnight trips. This is for coaches. If you're one-on-one with the student, potentially at any point, you have to go through this process. So this process goes through the whole thing. There's a TB test involved, a fingerprint clearance, and you'd have to do the fingerprint clearance through our district. If you've been fingerprinted before, that's great, but it doesn't count. It's just the way the rules are written. They want it to be with our sites. So you have to go through that process. If you have been volunteer certified in Bonita, it usually is good for, I think, about 4 years, or maybe I'm just reading that as the TB test. Either way, it always helps to contact HR and to check in on your status, and they should be able to tell you where you are at in the process. There's a really easy Bonita Unified website that's linked here, down here where it says click here to apply. Oops, moving stuff around. If you click here to apply, it'll probably open up in some random window that you can't see. Yeah, of course. But you know what? I can show it to you because I have the power. Here we go. Boom. So yeah, this is the volunteer page. It defines what a volunteer is versus a visitor. And it has all the application processes there that you can go through. It's just a really helpful thing. If you have a student with me at this school, it's just always a good idea. So going through and getting that. Everyone who is going to be chaperones for the Lone Hill trip and or the San Dimas trip, you guys got to get the TB test and the live scan paperwork done. So the things we need those for, Lone Hill has a festival coming up on October 26th. That's during the school day. It'll be in the morning from 9 a.m. until I think it's about 1:30 p.m. or 2 p.m. That's for the 7th and 8th graders. That one, we're taking our 35 7th and 8th graders to a festival over in San Marino and then having in and out on the way back. That one you don't have to get fingerprinted for. However, if you do, that's great. The dress rehearsals, you don't have to be fingerprinted. You can just go through the Raptor system. That's the front office. You go through the Raptor system. And then, of course, the Lone Hill Corollaries Tour in the spring, you have to be TB tested and fingerprinted. For San Dimas, likewise, we have a bunch of little random events that we go to. But the Disneyland trip, we have to have you be oh, that's a good question. I wonder if Disneyland you have to be made a chaperone. I think you probably do because you would be one-on-one with students potentially in the park. So yeah, that one would need to get volunteer certified. And then, of course, for the Chamber and Bel Canto tour, you have to be fingerprinted and certified. Any questions about volunteer requirements or anything like that so far? Not seeing many. All right. Moving right along. Fundraising Committee! Yay! So as you noticed, we do a lot of stuff, folks. We do a lot of stuff. So for all these things we do, we need some volunteers. Now, a lot of you in the form responded in the positive that you were wanting to help out with fundraising. And so we're going to start getting those things up and running. The first thing is October 22nd. We had a flapjack fundraiser on the books. However, the problem is that I personally am not available that day because I have a concert here at the university. It's a really big, crazy thing. We have a big alumni choir we're putting together. Our former music director from many years ago passed away, and we're doing a big tribute concert, and I am coordinating the whole thing. So I have to be here for that event for Cal State Fullerton. However, we have I have reserved that date. I can talk to Applebee's about changing it. But it's just a little fundraiser. We usually make about anywhere between $500 to $1,500 selling pancakes, tickets. They cook the pancakes, we serve them, we sell the tickets, and we get a decent amount of money with it. As far as the rest of these go, we're looking also for parents to organize eat out nights. So a lot of clubs get approached to do eat out nights. Eat at Panda Express or whatever, and you get 10% of the proceeds or what have you between this hour and this hour on this day. A lot of places do that, and all you have to do is contact them directly, and they usually get you plugged in. Chipotle does it. Panda Express does it. I know Panera's done it once upon a time. My goal would be to have us have at least once a month where we have that kind of going. Those dine-in nights, depending on how many people go eat, usually you make anywhere between like $250 to like $500-$600. So I would really like to have that kind of stuff. Do we need to coordinate eat out nights with the Lone Hill staff? Yes. So what will happen with those eat out committee people is we'll have to contact the front office to kind of make sure that it doesn't conflict with other people. And we'll get that sorted out. But that's a really good question, Heidi. Yes. And Walter, I see you have a 1961 light blue station wagon. I don't hate that. Shoot me a picture. I'd like to see it. Yeah, so that was a really good point, Heidi. I'm going to need to ask, because I haven't done it as much, but I know Lone Hill Band does it. So I'm going to ask Lone Hill Band who we have to clear it through. Ask Lone Hill Band who to clear the dine out nights with. Now, our fundraising committee hasn't had a meeting yet because I haven't gotten everyone together. My plan is to put all of the fundraising committee people into an email thread, and y'all figure out a time to meet and to schedule these eat out nights, any sponsorships or any grants. The goal of our fundraising committee is to fundraise for our students to make sure that all of them can experience the trips. So yeah, they are pretty easy. So thank you, Heidi. That will hopefully be a slam dunk. So yeah, our goal is we want to make sure every student can attend the trip, no matter their economic situation. We've been doing pretty well with fundraising in the past, but that's the thing about fundraising. You got to keep doing it. So I'm going to loop Heidi in to the email as well as Walter, and there's a couple other people that have responded in the chat as well as to the email process. And what I will do is get you all together into that email thread, and we'll find a time to do a brief setup meeting and set up a schedule of when we can meet or what we want to do. Okay. Um, Seeing no questions right now, I think I'm ready to move on to the next topic if everyone's ready. All right, moving on ahead. All right, I don't know why that says SHS, SDHS. So we have our Lone Hill Corollaires. Not back to school night. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong things. You were in the wrong place, buddy. There we go. That's why I couldn't find you earlier. All right, so April 13th through 16th. Thank you to those of you who already put in your deposit. Let me double check. We already have, I think, about. Sorry, I don't think you can see my screen, which is for the better because I just need to double check how many we have so far. We have of our 34 corollaires, I have 24 of them who have turned in their initial deposit, which is not bad, but I know we can do better, and I know there's more students that want to go. So you should have turned in your initial deposit already of $100 to the ASB Finance Office at Lone Hill. That's where all of our money is going through, is the ASB office. So you can do a check to Lone Hill Choir, and they take it right there. Of the 24, again, I need a core group of people. We need to have a good sounding choir. So I'm really hoping we can get all 34 students on the trip. I'm really, really hoping. So if you get an email from me in the upcoming, in coming days about like, hey, how come your student's not on the trip yet? I'm just going to be following up to make sure that we get as many kids on this trip as possible, because again, our choir, you got to think of it kind of like a team. And, we're practicing our music kind of like how a team plays like a football team. And if we're missing just one or two players, all of a sudden things kind of start to get a little wonky. And so we want to make sure that we have all of our team there, all of our choir family there, so we do the best possible job that we can and sound our best. And plus, as a choir family, we want everyone to have the same experience. So it would be sad if they miss out. So I'm going to be following up on the people who haven't put in their deposit yet. Our second payment's coming up in about 2 weeks. So it's coming right around the corner. And I will also be reaching out to our chaperones who have responded already, who have sent me messages and already gotten certified. I have 2 for sure, and I just need to get another 2 nailed down, and we should be good to go with the San Francisco tour. And Bel Canto and Chamber Choir. Their tour is coming up in March, and let me get the exact. Oh, question? No, maybe not. Oh, just hit the mute button. Okay. So Bel Canto is March 23rd through the 25th with Chamber. We're going to be doing that trip up the Central Coast. It's going to be anywhere between 500 to 600, but the problem is I can't get the exact pricing yet because I have to wait for Hearst Castle to open up their tours for that time. And I also have had 0 students submit a deposit for this yet. Now, I'm very sensitive to how expensive high school is right now. I just heard how expensive the homecoming tickets are. That's insane. But I can't put deposits down on our hotel or our busing company or for the festival or for our tour of Hearst Castle without those funds. And again, I don't know what the final cost is going to be because I don't know how many students are attending yet. So if you are intending to be on that trip, if your student is intending to go on this trip in the spring, I need to have that deposit as soon as possible. Our second trip payment is coming up already around the corner. Sorry, I'm looking at my calendar here. Next Friday is when the second trip payment is due. Again, you pay at ASB office, and they get you all set. I understand that San Dimas has been dealing with a lot of stuff with the Angel game, with homecoming, with all these kind of like startup of the year costs. But I do need to get that deposit going and figuring out who's going to go because we got to start getting stuff moving on that. So again, totally understand why I haven't heard from anybody yet on that trip. But again, if I don't have enough people, I got to cancel it. So Corollaires, Lone Hill, you guys are doing great. 24 students so far. I bet we can get all the way up to the 34. We should have about 35 or 40 students for the Chamber Bel Canto trip for San Dimas. So I'm pretty sure we can get to that as well. And that's the whole meeting, guys. So from here, I'm just going to kind of open it up to any other random sort of questions. Right before I do that, I'm adding another slide for Mr. Pugh's recital. I forgot to mention this one. For SD Chamber in the spring, we're adding a couple of dates in March for their rehearsal. So we have a big rehearsal for the orchestra concert on March 26th. All of these are from 1 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. And then the last big one is April 1st from 1 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. So this is for Faure's Requiem. And these are coming up in the spring. So I just wanted to make sure that we knew what that was. So that should be fine. So a couple of things. So no trips for freshmen in SD Corral. We are doing a trip to Disneyland in the spring. It should be in February. That, however, we haven't taken deposits yet, but that should be anywhere between $150 to $200. Again, once we know how many kids are, but I have to start getting the hotel for the March trip already reserved, just because it takes a lot more planning. The Disney trip is real easy. Yeah, not a big deal. The Disney trip, it's just annoyingly pricey because it's Disneyland. I remember when I was a kid, man, we would go for $75. This was in the early 2000s. Now it's the same thing, but it's $200. So that's great. So makes me feel old. I see another thing in the chat. So yeah, thumbs up for the mouse. There we go. But yeah, I'll double check. Disneyland is only for San Dimas this year. A couple of sixth graders have talked to me about wanting to do a trip. I'm not against it. I'm looking into the option of maybe doing a Knott's Berry Farm trip, but I'm very busy, and I honestly don't know when we would be able to fit it in. There are some festivals in the spring that we could go to with the treble choir, but I have to find when I actually have time for it. It's not a lack of wanting to take them because I think they're actually pretty good, but I just don't have the time in my calendar, unfortunately, between here and the university. Good news is next year I'm done. I graduate. I will have a lot more time on my hands. So Heidi, that was what I was just mentioning for the sixth graders. At this time, I don't usually take them on field trips because they're sixth graders, but seventh and eighth graders, yes. Seventh and eighth graders go on the big ones. So yeah, okay, wonderful. Chamber parents, I added these to our calendar. These dates are in your calendar, the ones on the page right now, March 12th, 19th, and 26th. Notice that the 26th is the day after we get back from tour. We're going to arrive back on a Saturday, and we'll be in rehearsal that afternoon. Your students are required to be at each of these rehearsals to be part of the recital, because, again, this is like a big orchestra thing. I'm hiring 20 orchestra players. We have professional soloists coming in, like people that have been part of the Grammy, they've won Grammys. I have some really cool friends that are agreeing to sing with us. A really cool baritone soloist from Santa Fe Desert Chorale, a soprano soloist who sings with Pacific Chorale. Pacific Chorale just won a Grammy for their recording of Mahler. Mahler 2. It's the big one they did with LA Phil and LA Master Chorale. Anyways, each of your chamber choir students needs to be at all these rehearsals. But other than that, that's all I got, folks. Things are kind of off and running. I really appreciate you guys coming out this evening and hanging out with me. Our next meeting is on the calendar, but let's just review. It's coming up on October 26th. October 26th, we'll have our next parent meeting. Same thing. So October 26th, it's already in your choir calendar. And it's also the same day that our 7th and 8th graders are going to San Marino for their festival. So it should be really cool. But yeah, if you want to hang out for a little bit, I'm going to turn off the recording. And thank you all for hanging out with me tonight, all right? Take care, shoot me an email, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.